So, I'm going to change this so that we all can see mine as well. So, the question was, how do you change the title once you've uploaded it? So you see over here on the left, it says data sources, and you can see edit details. So click on that edit details, and it allows you to change the name. Now, one thing I noticed is that this currently does not have attribution, and so I have to fill it in by myself. It's something that they are fixing so that all of your vector data will have attribution in the future, and you'll be able to determine it. But I'm going to type in source, IBAMA, and click save. Okay. So I am going to pause. Actually, no, I'm going to go to one more step and then pause because I know everyone will have fun with this step. Now that my data set's uploaded, I'm going to create a layer. And if you click over here to the left, you can choose to create a style layer. So I'm going to click on that. Does everyone see that? Click on that. Give it a name. I'm going to say Karen's layer of arc of deforestation. You can call it whatever you want. This is just practice. And then I click continue. Now it gives me the same red outline. On the left here, I'm going to click add rule. A rule is a style rule, and it allows you to say, I want to style everything the same, or I want to style particular features a certain way. It's basically setting a style rule. So I'm going to click add rule, and it brings up this box here. And I can say things like, I only want this layer to appear on certain zoom levels. So that I can drag these. If people zoom in too far, make it disappear. So this zoom level is possible for that purpose. But if you want to change the polygon style, then you would click on the color and change the polygon style. So if I want to make this orange, it shows me the old color and the current color, and I can change the opacity or transparency if I would like. Click save. And if I want to keep the border as red, but make it nice and thick, I can choose its width to be 5. And then I click apply. If I want to add a filter, meaning if there's multiple features and I want to say if the features, if they are water features, style them blue. If they are land features, style them green. Then you can do that, and we're going to do that in a little bit. So there's my style of data. So play around with that. Feel free to add, to duplicate display rules and see different things in different ways. But I will say that if you have multiple style rules, like I just have now, that have different colors, it will pick one of them to use. So make sure, at least for this data set, you only have one style rule. And so I'm going to come around and help the others catch up.
You can also do one by one.
Okay, yes. Okay, we had a great question from the audience, and it was about those shape files and those files that you uploaded. And let me just show you where I got the data. I searched Google and I found for Brazil protected area or Brazil forest data. And I found, or I heard from a colleague, that IBAMA has great GIS data. And so I went to IBAMA's website and I searched it, and I found an archive or a catalog of all this data about the Amazon and about different states in Brazil. And my limited Portuguese, I tried to say, okay, this is probably cities here, this is soils, this is some hydrography, this is deforestation. So I clicked on that and I downloaded it. And that zip file is what I shared with you. And that zip file looks like this. And the answer to why are there 4 files that make up one file, one data set, that is a question that I don't have an answer for. It's basically the way the files were invented about 5 decades, or no, 3 decades ago. And when I think ESRI started using GIS shapefiles. And so if you want to look at each one of these individually, just very quickly, this is some GIS theory, very, very simplified. But a DBF is a database file like Excel. This is where all the attributes are stored. An SHP, or shape, is where all the polygon geometries are stored. The SHX, when I teach GIS, I like to think of this as the index that combines the DBF to the shape. It basically says this polygon is connected to this row in the file. And so it basically allows you to look at it in a map, but connect it to a database, and this is the database here. And then the PRJ is the projection or map display information. So all 4 together are needed. If you cannot have one without the other. That's a little bit of theory. I can help you answer more questions if you're interested. Where do you find that data? Well, that's a good question. That's why it's so important to know the right people, and that's how you can meet them at workshops like these, to say, where can I find data about the narwhal in the Arctic? I need data about that. And there's probably somebody who has it, or you can go collect it with a GPS and collect it yourself. Those are the kind of ways that you get data. Find it or you create it. Okay, so now I'm going to click exit. I'm going to click exit here, and I'm going to publish this data set. So I'm going to come out to the layer details and click publish. And once that's published, then, waiting for it to publish, it says publishing layer. Once it's published, there it is, layer was published, I can then add to the map. And if I click here, add to map, I can choose the map I want to add it to. But we haven't created a map yet, so I'm going to click create new map. So again, click on add to map, and and click Create New Map. And click OK. And I'm going to call this map Karen's Map, just so I can find it amongst all of our maps. And so I called it Karen's Map, and I click Create. And nothing happens except at the very top, it says, you've created a map. You can either view the details or add layers. And I'm going to click Add Layers. And the reason for that is because I want to add this layer, I want to add the legal limit of the Amazon, and I want to add the indigenous territories. So I click Add Layer, and it gives me this Add Content view box, and I can choose to add layers. Now, this is the first glimpse I have of all the layers that you guys have already created. Okay, so collectively in this whole room, we have 3 pages of this. And so you can imagine if we were all spread around the world, if we were a part of different IUCN offices, regional offices, or in the next room over in the same office, we can all be collaborating, uploading data, creating maps, and have access to them. Okay, so I'm going to choose to add the Amazon Arc of Deforestation, which is not published. I want to only use published layers, so I'm going to uncheck that. No, I want to add Amazon Legal Boundary. I'm also going to page forward and find Karen's. Go back. There it is. Karen's layer of Arc Deforestation. I'm going to add that one. And I can keep track here. It says 2 selected at the top there. And then I want to add indigenous territories. So I'm going to click that right there on page 2. You should see it. So I have 3 layers selected. You're welcome to add many, many more or even less. And click Add. And it basically shows all of my layers here. I can change the ordering. I can change whether or not they are visible upon first loading the map. So if you don't want to show certain layers when people first look at it, but they can turn them on themselves, then you can click that so that it's crossed out, the eye is crossed out. But I want to show it, so I'll turn it back on. And then, most important, I want to publish. Before I do that, I'm going to change it so that I share it with you guys. So I'm going to change my access list. You may not have that option because you're not an administrator, but this is something you'll do if you get an account. And then finally, I'll click Publish Map. And it says Publishing, so I'll wait a moment.
Do we choose when it says viewable by IUCN viewers, or do we have it public?
That's a great question. So she asked, do we choose IUCN viewer or the public? If you want it to be publicly accessible, meaning you could email your mother right now and she could go online and see it, then choose public. But if you want to keep it only to this room, choose IUCN viewers. Because this data is not sensitive and it's not private, it's data we found on the web and we've attributed to IBAMA, then it's fine to do it public. So either one is fine. But that's a good question. If you choose IUCN viewers, then you have to make sure that whoever you send that link to is in an access list, is part of the group. And they have to be logged in, right? So, okay. But if you have board of directors, if you have people who are on a stakeholders committee, if you have anyone, you could make one account, one Gmail account, and 10 people could log into that same one. So you don't have to, force them to all log in every time. So that's a good way to keep it private. But if you want to make it public, choose the public. Maybe I'll do that now. Okay, so we've published it and we've shared it and made it viewable by the public. We can always click to view a draft, but what I'm interested in right now are these links here, and you will only see them turn blue and linkable if you have published your map. And so make sure you click up here and just click Publish Map. And then we're going to go through a couple of these right now. The first one, and the easiest to look at, is this one called Google Maps. So I'm going to click on that, and it gives me a link, a map view. See at the very end, it says map view. Click on that, and just like that, it has created a Google map. It has created a Google map with a layer list in the upper left corner, so you can turn on and off, make visible and invisible these different layers. Which is really nice because, especially if you're not a programmer, but you want to give the ability for people to turn on and off layers, they can do that. You can create that map very easily now. I'm going to go back to Maps Engine, and I'm going to look at WMS. If you use web mapping services, and normally people who use web mapping services are people who are either webmasters or GIS specialists, then this is an important link to you. If you don't know what a WMS link is, or you're not a GIS or webmaster, then this is as necessary. It's not as often used as Google Maps. This is a very important link right here. You remember when Raleigh showed you how to embed a Fusion tables by getting the embeddable code, or embed a YouTube video by getting the embeddable code? All you have to do is copy and then paste it in your website, and that's what this is. All you have to do is select, copy, and paste that in your website. So it's very, very easy to embed a Google Maps with that widget. And then finally, we have the Google Earth. I leave this to last because sometimes when I'm presenting, my computer likes to crash when I show this, when I show Google Earth. So I leave it to the last moment so that you guys will have time to experiment. But you shouldn't have this problem. It's only when I present. My graphics card likes to crash on me. So I'm going to select this. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to go back into Google Earth, where we were this morning. Now, any version of Google Earth. I'm using the free version right now. Oh, it's crashing. I have faith it'll work sometimes. There we go. So I'm going to turn off all the layers so that I'm very simplified. I'm even going to zoom to the right area to help out my computer. Then I go to File, Earth Builder. This is another name or a previous name for the same product, Maps Engine. So for all intents and purposes, ignore that. That's going to be changed in future versions. I'm going to click on Earth Builder. And then, right now what it's doing is it's loading all the maps that I have permission to see. So you won't see this many. You'll see only the maps that people in this room have created. And I'm going to click Advanced, paste that address in, connect to Globe, and then look here at the bottom. My layers are listed here. So this is the Google Earth version of what we just created. Now, you may have to log in. When you go to when you go to File, Earth Builder, if you're not already logged in with Google Earth, and most of you probably aren't, then you may have to log in and make sure you use the same information that we gave you on a little sheet of paper. So I'm going to come around and help, and we'll start again in about 2 or 3 minutes.